All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Hank Strange Impromptu Live Hangout. We're going to talk NRA today. We're going to talk to Mike Detty, author of Guns Across the Border. We've got my buddy Christian from Green Force Tactical and the indubitable Mr. Yak Yaz from GTR. What's up, guys?
How you doing, Hank?
This is where you all come in and cheer me, help me get all pumped up.
Hey.
Yeah, you guys have to help me out because I'm a little low energy. Lola has me on a diet.
What?
Yeah.
A well-needed diet.
Yeah. You know, I'm happier when I'm fat, and I'm still fat now, but I'm starving. So that's, you know.
I ate 3 pounds of public stone crabs with a pound of butter about an hour ago. So I woke up, ate crabs, drank about a gallon of butter, and now I'm trying to get the energy going here. So
Is
it's
that
gonna be okay.
Is that supposed to motivate me, Christian? Thank you.
Crabs are awesome, bro. Butter is awesome. I'm gonna go have some bacon later.
Yeah, thanks.
Bacon's your friend.
Thanks for letting me know what I'm missing. All right, so I'm gonna go around the room. I think we'll start with Yak Yaz over on you're all the way on my right, so I don't know. You're probably like screen left. What's up, Yak Yaz? What you got going on, man?
Not much, man. Just working.
Working,
and drinking.
working hard. Okay.
Working and drinking.
Nice. You're working and drinking. That's not a Monster can I see in your hand.
Not now. It's not Monster time right now.
Okay. Anything you want to endorse here? What is it? What do you like to drink after a long hard day?
Oh, I mix it up all the time. I mean, right now I'm just
Can you hear?
drinking a little Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Okay.
But I mix it up all the time. I don't have a regular.
Yeah. I know you like your beers. You and I have we gone out?
I am a beer guy.
Yeah. We haven't done that yet, right?
What's that?
We haven't gone out for a beer yet, right?
No, we have not.
Yeah. That's because you don't.
I'm pretty sure it's your fault. So.
No, you don't invite me. That's what it is. You don't want.
You don't come out. That's what it is.
I'm a shut-in. Lola won't have it. No, Lola would like to get me out of the house, so we'll do that.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, we'll hang out.
I'll call Lola when I want you to come out.
That's right. Go to the boss.
She'll say, "Please get him out."
I feel like just shove him out the door.
Yeah.
Yep.
He loves
I've seen your bunker, Hank, and if I were you, I'd hang out in your bunker too.
In the bunker.
The bunker's pretty badass.
Yeah, we need to
put
put
that low ceiling.
You like that, huh?
You're like a little man cave. You're like in a little grotto back there. It's like hef with microphones and shit.
Yeah. The only thing that we're missing is like some stripper poles and obviously strippers, but you know, I'm still negotiating all those things.
I can help you with the poles, and I can probably help you with the strippers, but they're kind of low rent.
Ugh.
Hey.
Oh, hold on just a second.
Yeah,
Ashley, come here. My marketing girl and the girl that does all of my thing and everything just stuck her head in the door here. Stick your head down here where they can see you.
Okay.
That's Cinder. That's my sister Cinder. You're drooling on me. Stop drooling.
That's my favorite pixie right here.
Yeah, she's not right in the head either. We're a whole family of not right in the heads.
Oh.
Yeah. She's a retired Army officer and did maintenance and then transferred to Intel. So she's kind of our organizational paradigm locally in the shop, and then of course we have Chad. Everybody needs a Chad. Chad does the numbers and shit. Otherwise, I'd be eating, ramen noodles and,
Go make holsters now?
go make holsters and shit.
Yeah, Chad's the even-headed one. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go next to Yak Yaz is Mike Detty. He's the author of this book out there for, if you have not heard of this book, you need to go get this book. It's called Guns Across the Border. Okay? And Mike Detty is the author of this. What's up, Mike?
Not much, Hank. Thanks for having me on tonight. I appreciate the invitation to hang out with you.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you on, man. Ever since I read your book through audiobook, actually, because I'm always running around driving, editing, and all that stuff. I listened to it in audiobook. I thought it was awesome, and I wanted to. so we could talk about that. You told me behind the scenes that you guys are changing the title. What's up with that?
Yeah, they're taking the book to paperback, so they gave it a title change. The new paperback version will be Operation Wide Receiver, which was originally the code name for that gun walking program.
Okay.
Operation Wide Receiver was the predecessor to Fast and Furious.
Okay. So it's going to be Operation Wide Receiver now?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And the paperback's coming out soon, right?
I'll have copies at the NRA meeting to actually sign for whoever's interested there.
Oh, very cool. I'm going to be there at NRA, standing in line, waiting to get my autograph.
Well, I'll put you at the front of the front of the group there.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get my butt
I
kicked by
appreciate that.
all those NRA guys. So you're going to NRA, obviously. I'm going. Are the other two guys going on here? Christian, are you going to NRA? No.
No.
I can't hear. No.
Yep, there we go.
Not going. Yeah.
Not going.
Okay. So what's up with you guys? Why are you not going, Christian? Because you're next in line to be introduced here. Why are you not going?
I have too many orders, and it's been my experience in the past that the NRA deal for me and for vendors seems to just be a place to hang out on an expense account. So I can't take the time out of the shop. I'm getting ahead a little bit every day. I'm getting a little bit further ahead in my backlog, and to take 2 days off would put me a week behind. So.
All right. So the folks want you to make the holsters anyway. So that's what you.
They paid for their shit. They want their shit. That's right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Make the holsters, man. Okay, so what about you, Yak Yaz? Why are you not going? Come on.
Financially, it doesn't make sense. All the deals that are offered at the shows are offered to you not going to the show. You know, so
Okay.
I mean, what's the point of going when, you know, I mean, all you're going to do is spend money on hotels, fare, food, all that kind of stuff for what?
Right. Okay.
You know,
So you're saying
getting to hold the gun first over anybody else, that financially doesn't make sense for me. So.
Okay, so you saying that like as a vendor, or what's the deal with that? As a vendor, right? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, as a dealer, you know,
right.
It makes sense to go out there and, you know, do that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, a lot of people like to use it as a vacation, I guess. I don't know, but for me, it's about work. When I go out there, I work. When I go out to SHOT Show, you know, a lot of people think, oh, you're going to Las Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun. No, it's not. I work. Yeah. I basically wake up early in the morning. I work my ass off, you know, until SHOT Show ends at 5 or 6 o'clock. And then I go to company meetings and I work. And then I go to affiliate meetings where we meet other vendors or dealers or manufacturers or whatever, where we probably do dinner or something like that. And then I go to my bed and I pass out. And then I do it all over again. I don't have time to play slots or casino or drink or do all that kind of stuff. The only thing I did when I went to SHOT Show that was important to me, other than doing my work stuff, is I saw one of my old Iraq buddies last time who lives in Nevada, in Las Vegas. And I got to see him, and I got to spend a couple hours with him. And I wouldn't trade that for anything, but it still doesn't make sense as a company to go over there and do that.
Yeah, so, it's an expensive deal, especially, you know, I mean, if you've got a big expense account for that. You know, on my side, go ahead.
I can see it making sense for media. Like, I mean, that's a big deal for media. You know, going over there, seeing the gangsters, trying them out, giving your opinion on them, especially on the range day where you guys get the media day, where you guys go out to the range and shoot all that product and stuff like that. I can see it.
Right. I mean, that's you know, that's you know, that's the thing for us on the media side, that if you can't afford to either buy these guns or you don't have the connections to get your hands on a lot of these guns any other way, it probably balances out expense-wise, because you could go there, and if you get into at SHOT Show, let's say, where they have media day, you could do that. Now, NRA, to my knowledge, does not have a media day, although I know this year, like how Glock is coming out with the Glock 43, they have an event that they've invited people to go to where you can actually shoot the Glock 43, and there might be some other companies doing that kind of stuff, but it's not that common for, for NRA. It looks like we lost Yak Yaz there. We'll probably get him jumping back in. So
he
what
probably dropped his drink dropped his phone in the drink.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Mike?
From my perspective, NRA has always been kind of the SHOT Show for people that are not in the industry, for regular NRA members and real shooters, people that are not in the industry but enjoy firearms, and they still get to meet with these factory people, from Winchester, from Remington, from Kimber, from Colt. They get to see what's new and get to handle a lot of stuff, and actually get to talk to people in the industry and maybe make some valuable suggestions if they're opening to listening a little bit. But
Right.
It's for me, SHOT Shows, like Yak was saying, SHOT Shows a lot of work. I met you this year up in the press room, and you get there and you go and you go and you go and you walk miles and miles and miles, and you go from one appointment to the next. The NRA is a little more relaxed. It's a chance to meet people, and it's more of a for me, it's more of a social experience than work, like SHOT is.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. This will be my second time going. I went last year when it was in Indiana, and I thought that was the great thing. I got to meet a lot of people on the other side of what I'm doing. We're posting up videos and stuff like that, and a lot of guys out there support us. That's why we're growing and all that good stuff. And you only get to talk to them through comments on video, but to actually meet those guys, shake their hands, take pictures with them, get to hear their face-to-face opinions on things is friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
And then to get to meet people like yourself, there's a lot of celebrities at this stuff, so, in the gun world.
Well, and outside the gun world, I know Ted Nugent will be there this year. He almost always is.
Right.
2 years ago, I got to meet Oliver North and Judge Janine Pirro back-to-back at their book signings, and both of them were great people to meet and very nice to me, and actually made some introductions for me to help promote my book. And I had just met them 30 seconds earlier, so I was very impressed with the people I met there and just how friendly everybody is. It's not as grim a scene as SHOT Show is, where everybody is working hard and trying to make a buck on not enough time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about it. And I noticed, for example, with SHOT Show, when you go there, most of the vendors that are there, they're all about business, making those big multi-million-dollar deals. But at NRA, I think they're probably still making deals, but they're really, they're selling to the general public at NRA.
Right.
So, it's they're a lot more relaxed. It's easier to talk to them. I like the fact that you can, if you've got a concealed permit, or if you can open carry in that state. In some cases, like in Indiana, you had guys concealed carrying, open carrying. Hundreds of thousands of people in the same building. Nothing crazy happened.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. That was pretty good stuff. So I've never been to Nashville, so I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah.
It would be cool to go to Nashville, but it still doesn't justify it.
Yeah, you got to work, Yak Yaz. You're just being all grumpy because you got to work. You got to sell guns.
Yeah. Now, Hank.
Yeah.
Everything that you like about NRA and it being very informal and very relaxed and very happy. If you take what you like about that and turn the volume up to 11, that's what alumni is in Camden, bro. It's 3 days of no sleep. Everybody you ever wanted to talk to, hanging out, eating, shooting, doing that stuff. That's my event for the year. That's all I do now is I take 2 weeks. I go up early for the SOE party. I do business for a week, and then alumni starts, and I'm just a good student. I just
do you want to explain to guys out there what you're talking about?
One of the school that gets most of my training money these days is Tactical Response in Camden, Tennessee. Offer a free training weekend where they bring in instructors that are alumni from all over the world, and they run a round-robin free training weekend that's a combination of lecture and ranges and practicals and medical. And last year we had Mindset from Aaron Little for visualizations and stuff like that, and then we had Austere Medical from the Patriot Nurse for delivering babies in elevators and cars and stuff. And we did 3D crowd shooting where you had all these mannequins and you had to like pick out the guy in the crowd that was a shooter and get to him without shooting anybody else. And we did shotguns and what's his name, Fillers from Destructive Device Incorporated brought out a bunch of their toys, and it was just a great time. I didn't sleep for 72 hours. It was pretty badass between the SOE kidnapping to take me to Nashville to eat sushi and that whole deal, and then alumni. And yeah, if you like NRA and you want to go do something that doesn't cost you $1 billion per hotel, go to Camden. Everything's really, really cheap, and all the people you want to see will be there. And yeah, there's still a lot of business dealings go on.
So in order to
the NRA dinner.
Right. So hold on. So in order to get into that, right, you've got to. What's the requirements there in order to get into that alumni thing?
You just have to have taken a class with Tactical Response at any time in your life.
Okay.
Once you're an alumni from Tactical Response, you're alumni for life, and they offer good classes. Like last year, I took a simunitions class called The Fight for the 2 days before alumni. I took alumni weekend, and then I did fighting rifle after. So if you want to go do it, there's always classes the week before that you can plug into and become alumni. But as far as I know, they're not real strict on checking cards at the door and everything. But it's a good time, dude. I highly recommend it.
Okay. Now, so if folks don't know out there, that's James Yeager's training group. I've never done any training, although I've done some stuff with James. I think you've done some of that stuff, right? Right, Mike?
Me? Yeah, I've taken 2 of the classes from James. Fighting pistol and fighting rifle.
Yeah.
Fighting pistol's a deal, isn't it, buddy?
I tell you what, they both wore me out.
Yeah. I was a cop for almost 20 years, and I carried a gun every day and thought I was a badass and took every class that law enforcement would offer in Florida and in the federal system, and fighting pistol was just an eye-opener.
This was Yeager?
I've never taken a class from Yeager. I've always taken classes that were taught by some of his other instructors, and he has an awesome cadre. I mean, I talked to James, but James and I have kind of.
But this was all under Tactical Response.
Yes.
Right. My personality and James Yeager's personality in the same room. It's kind of like 2 magnets trying to be pushed together with the same poles. We just. It's him and I get along, but if you put the 2 of us in a room for more than about 5 minutes, there's going to be a loud voice, verbal disagreement on the merits that will lead to derailing of all other conversations. So I just try to,
No, I find that so hard to believe.
Wait. No, wait. Let me tell you something. Wait. No, wait. But you're not seeing. Well, yeah, that's how it goes for about a week. But yeah, love Yeager to death and his cadre. If you have any personal issues with Yeager, that's cool, but don't let that stand in the way of going there and take some fantastic fucking training.
Yeah, Yeager's a cool guy. I'm pretty sure he'll be out there. I don't want to speak for him, but I mean, it is.
Oh, an NRA?
Yeah, he should be there.
He'll be an NRA.
Yeah, he's going to be there.
He'll be an NRA. Yeah, SOE will be there. All the Tactical Response dudes will be there. Yeah, a lot of my people are going to be there. I just cannot justify bailing out of the shop for a week.
Let me welcome someone in. My buddy Stone Guy has just joined us. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I appreciate the invite. It's Stone Guy 223.
Hey, man, I haven't talked with you for a while.
He doesn't have a camera?
Since Iraq vet shoot, probably.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, what's going on, brother?
No, man, just living the dream, as it were.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Everything.
Nice.
Hope everything's well with you, the wife, everybody's good.
She's good. She's good. She's waving, telling me to say what's up to you.
Right on.
So, you wanna you know, everyone here on the panel. We've got Mr. Yak Yaz that I do a lot of things with. This is Stone Guy. We've also got Mike Detty, author
Hey, Stone Guy.
extraordinaire. And I don't know if you know Christian from Green Force Tactical.
No, sir, I do not.
That's right.
Yeah. So, are you going to NRA, Stone Guy?
Yeah, yep, I sure am.
Oh, okay.
It'll be a
So,
little closer to home. You know, I'm in Atlanta, so Nashville's not too far
Okay.
away. So it'll be.
Oh, we've also got Beard Almighty. Oh my goodness. Beard Almighty has jumped in here.
That is a beard.
Yes, that's a beard. Beard Almighty is my buddy. You know, another guy I haven't seen in I don't know, man. I don't think, what have I not seen you in a few weeks or something?
Been a couple of months, I think. Yeah.
Has it been months? Wow. It's
February.
almost, oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, man. What's going on?
Nothing, man. Looking forward to. I guess I get to see you next week.
Yeah, you're going to be at NRA, right?
Definitely. Just right up the road from me, so I'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But for everyone out there who doesn't know, Beard Almighty, he used to be out here with me in the Florida Gainesville area, but you know he's abandoning me and heading out to Tennessee. I guess I chased him off. Doesn't want to hang out with Hank Strange anymore. But we've made a bunch of videos and stuff like that. We've done some really cool things together, and we will be doing more cool things in the future.
It's definitely better weather in Tennessee.
Hell yeah.
Really, Tennessee's the place for weather, huh? I don't know. I don't know why you got really. Is Tennessee the place for weather?
What is this, a shield?
Well,
No. Oh, maybe Tennessee's better than a lot of other places right now. I don't know. So, have you ever gone to NRA before? Beard, have you ever gone to NRA? The NRA meeting?
No, this will be my first one.
Okay, very cool. I think you will enjoy it. You know, it's really a lot of fun. We were just talking about. What about you, Stone Guy? Have you been to NRA before?
no, sir. No, this is gonna be my first time going as well. So that's ought to be
Okay.
pretty interesting. I've heard a lot of, you know, a little bit different environment than shot, and so I think it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, it's gonna be lots of fun for all the guys who are going. For the guys who aren't going, we'll make fun of you on social media.
Got a flashlight.
So-
Especially that's fine, because the only social media I'm on is Facebook. You don't use it, so it's fine. I
Facebook.
might start just for you.
All right, so listen. I'm gonna get back to talking about the NRA, but we've got Mike Detty here. Mike, do you want to get into the book? I want to talk about stuff.
Sure, happy to.
Okay, so do you want to tell the audience out there, how did this book come about? How did you?
Sure. Guns Across the Border is a book that I wrote about my 3-year experience as a confidential informant for ATF. This happened between 2006 and 2010, and I was actually recruited to sell guns to Mexican cartel members. This, of course, was prior to Operation Fast and Furious, and you know, a lot of people in the press call Fast and Furious a bungled operation, but there is nothing bungled about it. The whole purpose of both of these operations was to ship guns to Mexico, to put as many guns in Mexican cartel members' hands as possible.
Okay.
That way, once the numbers, the number of American guns showing up at Mexican crime scenes increased, then they would have some ammunition to push for a new assault weapons ban here in the United States. There's no other explanation for what they did. I mean, there's people talking about, well, this was a one-time thing and it was a mistake, and no, there was nothing that was a mistake about it. It worked exactly the way they wanted it to. I'm embarrassed to say that I was a part of it. It took me quite a while to put all the pieces together. What they had told me was that I was going to help take down a powerful Mexican cartel, and I was very happy to do that for my country. And,
so now,
Right.
did they come to you, or did you, did the cartel guys come to you and you went to the ATF? How did that? Can you explain how that went down?
That's exactly what happened. I was at a gun show in Phoenix, and a couple of young men came up and bought AR-15s from me. And they came back the next day and asked for more of what they bought the first day. And anytime somebody buys a quantity of product in the same model, I mean, a collector will say, I'll buy one of these and one of those and one of these. But when you want to buy 5 or 6 or 26 of the same type of gun, which was usually my cheapest assault style rifle, then you have an idea that something's up. And the fact that they paid all in cash, he came back to me the next day. He said, hey, do you have any more of those guns? And I said, you got the last of them yesterday, but I've got 20 more coming in next week. And he said, I'll take them all.
Were you already so you were already an FFL or a dealer previous to that? Okay.
For 10 years prior to that, I did all of the major gun shows in Arizona. I was actually the largest distributor for Rock River and DPMS in the state, and usually had 3 or 4 or 500 rifles in stock at any particular time.
Nice.
Wow.
I was fortunate enough to meet the young lady that wrote Fast and Furious.
Katie Pavlich.
Right, at a GSSF match here in Atlanta this past year, and was able to speak with her at length about her kind of what prompted her to write that, and her knowledge and thoughts on the situation. And yeah, it is. That was before you said you were kind of ashamed to be associated with it. That was going to be my question, was how did you feel about being a part of basically setting up this country for that?
Obviously, that part of it destroyed me. But the fact of the matter was that they were constantly telling me that the work I was doing is very important part of taking out this cartel that they intended to destroy. And when you think about it, I mean, you've never opened a newspaper and seen that the United States government has taken out a cartel. It's never happened. Never happened in history. Right. And I really thought I was on to something very valuable, something very important for our country. And I understood the implications. I mean, there was no doubt that I was going to have to go into a witness protection program after this all evolved. Of course, that never happened. So not only did that not happen, but I was exposed as the informant on each of the 3 major cases that I worked. And people say, why would they expose you? And I mean, the answer is obvious. If I wasn't around, nobody would have my accounting of Operation Wide Receiver, which actually evolved into Fast and Furious. There were attempts to quiet me. At one point in time, they broke into my computer and destroyed all my audio files. Every time I had a meeting with the cartel members, I ran a digital recorder. And later on, when I lost trust in the ATF, I started recording my conversations with the agents. But once they found out about that, my computer was hacked. The only thing that was bothered in the computer was the folder that had all those audio files.
Now, so if you don't mind me asking, oh, I'm sorry, Hank, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Stone Guy, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you don't mind me asking, timeline, like what kind of timeline are you on from when all this was kind of over with, so to speak, and do you still feel fear for your life? I mean, do you?
This happened between 2006 and 2010, and of course, what brought everything to the head on this was Border Patrolman Brian Terry being killed. If it hadn't been for that, this operation might still be going on. I mean, it's hard to say. When Brian Terry was killed, it put so much heat and such a bright spotlight on what ATF was doing that they had no option other than to shut it down and then try to cover it up. And after Brian Terry was killed, we saw, Eric Holder come out. We saw Bill Newell, who was head of the Phoenix office. He was a guy that really I was taking orders from. They both came out and publicly said that they had never allowed guns to cross the border as part of any investigation. And that's when I knew there was a cover-up in progress. And I said, hey, guys, you forgot about me, because if you're counting on me to stay quiet, you made a mistake. And the best thing I could do was write a book. I mean, I was promised that I'd be relocated. I was promised reward money. Obviously, those things never happened. And for me, the sweetest revenge is just letting people know the way they would treat a patriot, a guy like yourselves, how they treat somebody to put their ass on the line for them, actually believing that our goal was to take out a cartel and take on all the inherent dangers and risks that go with that, and then to be stabbed in the back and exposed again. You expose somebody because you expect them to be killed. I mean, that's the people we were dealing with, and that's why I was exposed.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is this a situation, Mike, where you just felt like you were being a patriot and you didn't consult any legal advice before entering this? Didn't get anything in writing or anything at all like that?
The only thing I had in writing was just a standard confidential informant agreement, which basically gives all the protection to the ATF and nothing to me.
Right. Right. Just a situation of thinking you could trust them and being a patriot.
Originally things evolved kind of differently. I didn't even think ATF understood how things would progress, but it went from being trying to catch a couple kids that were taking a few guns into Mexico. Later on, there was a new player that came into the game, and instead of buying 10 or 12 at a time, he's buying 32 or 52 at a time. And obviously, he was with another family, a different cartel. And during the course of the 3 years that I worked with ATF, there were actually 5 different cartels that I sold to. So when I got involved originally, it was just supposed to be a couple weeks. Really, all they wanted me to do was act as a conduit so I could transfer these guns to these guys. And they said, we think it's going to be a couple weeks. Can you hang with us? And instead, it turned into kind of a 3-year deal. And of course, that time, at the end of 3 years, 30 people had been arrested. The longest sentence that any of them got was 36 months. They reduced the charges to lying on their Form 4473, which is the government form you fill out for the background check. There was no illegal exportation of weapons or gun smuggling, any charges like that. And the reason they did that was because by the time they brought these cases to court, Brian Terry had already been killed, and they didn't want to make public all the information about gun walking and Project Gun Runner, which was Yak, if you've been a gun dealer for a while, you remember when that started, probably, which was probably around 2006 or 7. But
I was in the Army at the time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit older than you.
Since 2010, I've been doing this. So.
Okay, so Project Gun Runner was basically they got a bunch of funding, and they decided to increase ATF's presence in all the border states, because that's obviously where the California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, that's where most of the guns were crossing the border going into Mexico. So they thought that because those ATF officers were so overwhelmed, they'd give them a bunch of money, triple the amount of agents that they had there, so they could concentrate on straw purchases and gun smuggling. Instead, it turned into something else, and I blame Bill Newell, who was the special agent in charge of the Phoenix office. Phoenix covers all of Arizona, Phoenix, Tucson, as well as New Mexico. He was the guy calling all the shots before this even had an operational code name, and it was his idea to put as many of these guns in Mexico as possible. Now, when Obama got elected, just 3 weeks into his presidency, Eric Holder came out and said, we don't need to change a lot of things about the gun laws. We just need to fine-tune some things. He said one of the things is that we need to fix the number of American guns killing Mexicans and reintroduce the assault weapons ban. That was 3 weeks into President Obama's presidency. Now, the funny thing about that was Bill Newell, who's the special agent in charge of Phoenix, had a buddy in the White House, Kevin Riley, and I think he works for Homeland Security. And Bill Newell was feeding him information. I speculate those communications is what is hidden by the executive privilege that President Obama exercised when the Congress was asking for records regarding Fast and Furious.
Mike, I got a couple of questions for you, real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So when this started in 2006, those 3 initial guys that bought those guns from you in the gun show, that wasn't the ATF; those were the cartels.
Those were actually cartel associates, right?
Okay. So when did the ATF approach you after you started selling these guns to the? I'm guessing you didn't know until the ATF approached you.
No, I knew right away when these guys came back and told me that they would buy the 20 more guns that I had coming in the following week.
You sent in like a multiple gun sale form or something to the ATF, and that's when
that wasn't a deal yet. The multiple long guns, that hadn't happened yet. I could sell somebody 50 long guns and not have to do any additional paperwork. But because of my suspicions, I called a contact I had in Tucson's ATF office Monday morning. And he said, go ahead and fax me that 4473. And one of the reasons I let that cell go through, because it was, I think at the time, I think it was 6 initially, was now I had the kid's name, his address, his social security number. Right. I had all his information. So I figured this will probably be the last gun this guy ever buys. I'm turning this over to ATF. What happened was they called me down the next day and they said, look, you know, maybe we could get somebody undercover and try to run them into these kids, but you're already there. Are you willing to help us? And what it will involve is you making a couple more sales to these guys. Are you cool with that? I said, sure, you know, I'm glad to help you guys any way I can. I had no idea what this was all about other than I was going to help them take out a cartel.
I got you. I wasn't sure if they were buying handguns too or something like that.
Eventually they did. I mean, that was actually a different group of people. There was one night that they came out to my house and they bought 50 Colt 38 Supers.
Wow.
God damn.
They actually did an air surveillance that night from my house. What they wanted to do is follow the guns all the way from my house to the border and actually have a record of them crossing the border with these guns.
Now, just real quick, I'm sorry, real quick, can you explain the 38 Supers? Because I never heard of them until I read the book.
Right, the 38 Super, it was a popular cartridge that came out, I think, in the 30s. It was actually pretty popular with some of the Depression-era bank robbers because it shot a lighter bullet at a higher velocity than the 45. And would actually defeat the body armor that was available in those days. So some of the bad guys carried the 38 Super. It got popular in Mexico because in the old days, Mexico had a thing that no civilian could own a gun that was chambered for a cartridge used by the military, which the 45 was. But the 38 Super wasn't. So they could have a 1911 chambered for 38 Super. Now, I think in 1968 or somewhere in that neighborhood, Mexico virtually outlawed private gun ownership for all but the very wealthy or very well connected. But the stigma and the status of that 38 Super has remained, and it has remained popular with the bad guys down there. Now, when they ordered 38 Supers from me, they always wanted the bright stainless steel polish or nickel finish. They wanted some type of
flash.
They wanted pearl grips or ivory grips. And the guy that was buying them was handing them out to his chief lieutenants as rewards. So if somebody was carrying one of these guns, you knew they were fairly high up in that organization. It was a status symbol for them. It was not a fighting gun. It was more just kind of like an officer in the military wears a sword, or an NCO wears a sword.
Or any of the, we'll just call them, I don't know, the people, the suspects, any of the people that were buying those firearms from you, were they ever charged or brought to justice, for lack of a better term, and do you still feel like you have a price on your head?
Well, yeah, yeah, I do. I've been lucky, you know, and I don't expect these guys, any of them, to call me up and say, hey, you know, we're going to come kill you. If that's what they want to do, it's going to happen. They're not going to give me a warning about it. But out of the 30 people that were arrested, the longest sentence any of them got was 36 months. Again, they pled those charges way down to give them something where they would take the plea agreement without going to court. None of these cases went to court. There was one guy who had a pretty sharp lawyer, and his lawyer separated his case from all the other cases for a separate trial, and they went right up to the day that trial was supposed to start before the U.S. government dismissed all charges. So that's how badly they wanted to keep this whole wide receiver, fast and furious gun smuggling stuff out of the public eye. Because if they had gone to trial, there were a lot of facts that would have came out and would have just made them look silly.
Okay. I just want to say real quick that if you guys have noticed, we've lost Christian. His headquarters literally got hit with lightning.
Wow.
So, I know I'm laughing, but his router and everything, he's fine. The router went down over there, so he's trying to see if he can get out a backout router. And
He's
come
all
back
hyped up on Mountain Dew. He could probably just touch the damn thing and just re-energize the thing.
Yeah. So now one of the things I wanted to when I read the book, Mike, you did a lot of these deals at home.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I still live in that house.
Oh boy, I mean that is scary.
Yeah, to say the least, and the fact of it was, you know, there weren't government agents hiding in the closets or anything. It was me alone with these guys in the house. And in fact, one night I had we were doing a briefing before we were going to do one of these buys. They were setting up the camera. They had a miniature camera that was hooked up inside a box of Kleenex, and I had my 45 laying on the table there. And the agent saw it, and he looked at me and he said, you know, Mike, if something happens, he said, do whatever you have to do. Fight for your life. He said, it's going to take us at least a minute to understand you're in trouble and get to you. And he said, by that time, the shooting's got to be done. But just remember that when we come through the door, we don't want to see your muzzle. And I thought, my God, you know, here we are talking about shooting a cartel member in my living room. I think how exciting life had gotten the last 12 months. You know?
Did it ever cross your mind, like, you know, let these guys find a buy house or set up someplace, or, you know, because that's really, really scary. You know, you weren't living alone all the time, right? Or were you? What was going on?
At that time, I was by myself. So,
oh, okay.
You know, as a bachelor on my own, there was no good way to do that, Hank. I mean, if we had known we were going to run into these guys, we could have in advance set up a fake stash house or a place to do business. But because of the way things worked out, it just turned out that, you know, and they asked me, they said, you know, we want to do it at your house. I said, oh, well, all right, go ahead, because I expected these people to be busted in 2 weeks and everything to be said and done with, and it just didn't work out that way. So, wow. Shame on me.
Mike, do you believe the idea to create the assault weapons ban started with the Bush administration, since it started in 2006?
No, I don't, because...
Or do you think that became an afterthought after the Obama administration took over?
No, I think it was always the thought of the special agent in charge there in Phoenix. I think that when he was...
Uh-oh.
I think we lost Mike.
Yeah, we might have temporarily lost Mike. We might have to wait for him to sign back in here. That's really scary stuff that he's talking about. We'll give him a second here to jump back in. What do you guys, you know, any comments from you guys out there about what you're hearing? Are you back, Mike? No, he's not back. What do you guys think about this stuff?
I think that's why before you do anything for anybody at any time, you should consult your attorney and get everything in writing.
Yeah, I
I know
100.
that sounds shitty, and I know that it sucks, but this is a perfect example. I mean, it's one thing if it's me and just some guy, because I'll just whip his ass. But, this is the government you're talking about. What are you going to do? You can't beat the whole government, right? So the best thing you can do is try to protect yourself with the same kind of shysters that they're using.
Yeah.
Well, the unfortunate thing there is the fact that, like he said, he went into this with good intentions as a patriotic American wanting to help his country, and it's just sad to think that the government would manipulate, use, and basically toss to the side its own people for their own agenda and never give it a second thought or look back. I mean, this guy, seriously, his life is in danger. And
listen, it's sad to think, but the government does it all the time. Yeah. Go ahead.
If they'll throw away a guy like Ollie North and throw him under the bus, what do you think they're going to do to regular Joe Blow? I mean, there's no safety at all.
Yeah, that's, I think that's what the problem is. Oh, yeah, here's Mike. Mike's back. You know what?
Sorry about that. I ran out of electricity.
Oh. Yeah, we were talking about how come you didn't consult your lawyer and stuff like that. Why did you get into this? And I think you're just a patriotic guy. You had best intentions. You wanted to believe that the government actually wanted to do something about this, right? I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I'm a veteran. I was a Marine, and I always felt like I owed something to my country. I was raised by two parents from the greatest generation. Dad was a World War II Marine. I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. My mom grew up during the Depression and went through World War II, and when everybody had victory gardens in the backyard, and everybody made the effort because that's what you did. I mean, you made sacrifices for your country. Everybody that lives in this country owes something for the right to live here and live free, and that was the way I was brought up. And even though I didn't have a long career in the Marine Corps, I always felt like I did owe something more to my country. And I was happy to give, and I was happy. Instead of unfortunate circumstances, I just happened to get divorced. I had some health problems. I switched careers after 17 years in the family business, and I was kind of had an attitude. I just didn't really give a crap anymore, and probably halfway hoping one of these cartel guys would shoot me and end my misery. Long story short, none of that ever happened. But I had a very careless, very reckless attitude, and that's probably why I didn't ask as many questions as I should have. And maybe part of me wanted to believe these guys because I'd always held these federal agents in the highest esteem. At one point in my life, I'd wanted to be an FBI agent, and I ended up taking a medical discharge out of Marines, so that negated any chance of getting in any of the federal services as an agent, so I couldn't do it. But maybe there's part of me that wanted to prove to these guys that I could have been just as good as they were. I don't know, but that's
always perfect vision. I mean, the past is always 2020, so I mean.
Oh yeah. If I'd had a crystal ball, things would have looked much different, and Brian Terry would still be with us today, unfortunately.
I just want to mention we've got Michael King.
I would assume that there's not, Mike, you weren't the only dealer doing this.
For wide receiver, I was the only FFL that was involved in that investigation. Now, Fast and Furious had I think 3 different major
through the ATF, I'm assuming.
FFLs, right?
I'm guessing there's probably other FFLs doing what you were doing that weren't associated with the ATF. I can't imagine that all the guns that were in Mexico came from your FFL.
No, well, this is
so many that went over the border.
No, of course not all of them, but this particular investigation, the people we were dealing with, they trusted me implicitly, and in fact, when they tried to go to other dealers, they were shut down pretty quick. So for Operation Wide Receiver, I think there was a total of 600 guns. Those all came from me over the course of 3 years.
Okay, I just want to jump in here really quick. We've got Michael King who's watching this live, and he's got a comment here. He says, hearing this is making my blood boil again. Holder and Obama both need to be put in jail for this. And I know someone already mentioned it here. I don't know if it was Yakyaz. I mean, can we really put all of this squarely on the Obama administration, or do we have, like, previous administrations that may be responsible for all this stuff? What do you guys think?
Well, let me say this. Congressman Issa and who's the other senator that was investigating Fast and Furious? Issa and Grassley, Senator Grassley. When I'd heard that they were having investigations early on, I contacted them, and I had some brief conversations with their staff. The impression that I got was they weren't too interested in my story because it happened during the Bush administration, and they wanted to put this all on President Obama. From my feeling is that they're missing the point here. You had a guy who was a special agent in charge of the Phoenix office that started this program of letting guns go across the border without checking with his superiors, without, as far as I know, without getting approval from anyone. He dedicated millions and millions of dollars in resources to this investigation.
So you're saying that one guy that was like his personal mission?
I believe that he had an agenda, and his agenda was to be able to put as many guns as Mexico as possible, so that basically I think he was trying to curry political favor, because he saw himself at one point running ATF as a director, and possibly even more for political reasons. That's my speculation, but to me it makes sense after knowing the guy and knowing what he's capable of. And if you look at it, the way the investigation grew when we went from the Bush era to the Obama administration, you went from 600 guns with me to like 3,000 guns. So the size of the operation jumped up immediately as soon as Obama took control. Now, did Bush know that this was going on? I don't believe it. Did his Attorney General know about this? I doubt it. But it had to go fairly far up in Department of Justice, because these were wiretap cases. And you need to go significantly high in Department of Justice to get approval for wiretaps. I think they called it a T6 case. And we did have wiretaps. So somebody there, Department of Justice, was aware of it. Did they let their Attorney General know about it? Did they let the President know about it? I can't say.
Okay, now let me
Some things
ask.
like that are so compartmentalized sometimes, though, that when they're looking at the tap warrants for this particular case, they may not understand the scope of what the entire operation has been either, and may not feel like they need to pass that up, especially if they go to different supervisors for different warrants at different times. I believe, some members of my family are in law enforcement, and I will say that they're smart enough to go to different judges at different times for different purposes. And sometimes, by doing that, they can hide the larger picture. So I can completely see what you're saying, that, yes, it did have to kind of go up the chain, but it ultimately, those way up may not have known what was going on because it was compartmentalized and kept from them.
No, I agree with you, and I think this guy Newell was a hell of a salesman, because basically what he was saying is, we need to get wiretaps on the phones of these cartel members that are buying guns from Mike, Detty, and Tucson, and then they're taking them to Mexico. We think if we followed the guns, we could put that cartel out of business. But think about that for a second. The guns are in Mexico. The money's in Mexico. The cartel's in Mexico. How in the world do you put them out of business?
Yeah.
As one of the assistant U.S. attorneys said to me, he goes, Mike, what mechanism would we use? When they have all their assets in Mexico, we can't go in Mexican banks and shut them down or seize their assets. We can't do that. How are we going to shut down a cartel when they're in a different country? And that's when the light bulb went on, because I had thought about that. But I figure, I'm working with these federal agents. Certainly they have a solution to this, or a plan about how they're going to do it, right? These are smart guys.
Well, okay, now that's a really good point. And one of the things that I was really intrigued about in this book is the whole plan to actually track these guns, put a GPS or something in these guns, and follow them across the border. Can you just tell us how that worked out?
And that's one of the myths. I mean, when you people like Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck, when they talk about Operation Wide Receiver versus Fast and Furious, they're always trying to make it sound like nothing bad happened during the Bush administration, and Obama's just this terrible guy that really blew things up. And regardless of what I think about President Bush or President Obama, that's just wrong. At one point in time, we had a tracking device from Raytheon, which is an aeronautical space firm out here in Tucson, and we tried to put it in the buttstock of a Yugo AK because they're kind of a beefy stock. We were able to channel it out and fit that tracking device in there. Unfortunately, by the time you wrap the antenna around this tracking device, it burns out the battery and it stops sending signals. So that unit was never fielded, but it's been widely reported that wide receiver that we were putting tracking devices in the guns, and it just didn't happen. The other fallacy is that we were working with the cooperation of the Mexican federales, and we know from the Office of Inspector General, we know that there was a couple communications between the Tucson ATF office and Mexican federales, but there was never any ongoing cooperation. There was never any coordination for finding those guns once they crossed the border. As far as I know, they were never told that those guns were crossing the border. So what they were telling me, what the agents were telling me is the Mexican federales were tracking them on the other side of the border. At some point in time, they would round up those guns because they knew where they were at.
I don't believe there's any way they could have gotten permission for that. I don't think the Mexican authorities would have. That's just hard to believe.
Well, the Mexican authorities would never give them permission for that. I mean, hey, we're going to send a bunch of guns. We're just hoping cartel guys kill each other with them. That okay with you?
Yeah. Also, I definitely spoke to any kind of, creditable expert on the subject of actually tracking these guns. There's no way, because I don't think even now in 2015 we've got the tech to do that.
You know, I love that movie, No Country for Old Men, and that was I think they had one reference to the date that happened, and I think it was set in 1980. Great movie if you haven't seen it. But the one thing is there's that tracking device in the satchel he's carrying the money in. And I can tell you that as of 2010, when I was still working with ATF, that they did not have access to anything like that, certainly didn't have it in their inventory. And I asked them at one point, I said, geez, can't you guys get better stuff? Can't you go to DEA and bother something? And they're like, crap, they're always coming to us and borrowing our stuff. When I had meetings with these bad guys, they had this one transmitter, and they treated it like it was the Hope Diamond. They put it in a Pelican case, and after every buy, they'd come and they'd collect it and they put it back in this case, and it had to be taken to their office and downloaded. But it would transmit out to the special agent that was running the case. He sat about 80 yards from my front door in a car, so he could hear the conversation. The problem was, this thing would heat up, and once it got to a certain point where it was burning my leg, it would shut itself off. So then I'd get a cell phone call from the agent that says, Mike, the wire's down, turn it off and turn it back on again. And, I'm an old guy with shooter's hearing, and I'd have to look around to see if anybody heard that, because I got the volume turned way up on my phone,
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm seeing a lot of comments about this, Mike. I think a lot of guys think that you are really, really lucky to be alive and talking to us today, and to be a combination of, those guys you were dealing with were extremely, extremely stupid, because they didn't realize that all this kind of stuff was going on. So,
well, it's funny you mention that, because there was. Once we had a wiretap on one of the main players, the agent in charge of my case called me and he said, "You're not going to believe this." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Pedro is tearing the sheetrock out of his garage because he thinks somebody planted a miniature camera in there." This was after one of his load trucks got taken out, and I thought, my God, I should go to Hollywood because I'm a better actor than I know, because here's a middle-aged guy that still wears a military haircut, an old white guy, been selling them guns for 3 years now, and he's suspecting somebody planted a camera in his garage before he suspected me of being an informant.
And these guys didn't suspect you, and I think, you know, according to the book, these guys thought you were like some kind of super badass dude, right?
Yeah, it's funny. There was one night they arrested a guy and a girl that came out to buy guns. The guy got away. He actually jumped out of his van and ran through a wash and was able to escape, and they didn't really chase him too hard. And because he was one of these ancillary cases. I mean, there were a lot of small side cases, and they wanted to focus on our main players, so they wanted to shut down these smaller cases just because they didn't have the manpower to cover them. So this guy had come out and bought 20 rifles. He brought a girl with him to do the paperwork that night. A sweet little girl, and all she wanted was enough money to buy the spot in Douglas, Arizona that her trailer was parked on. She needed like $3,000 or something. They promised her they'd give her enough money to buy this trailer spot. Well, the guy driving the van got away. They caught her because she's about 300 pounds running down the sidewalk. So they take her in to interrogate her, and the whole purpose of the interrogation was to throw suspicion off me, to make her think like, you know, like they were investigating a dirty gun dealer, and that's how they came across her. After 2 hours, she wouldn't give up any information, and the agent lost his temper, and he started thumping the table, and he told her all the charges she was going to face, and she'd never see her kids again, and she was going to spend the next 10 years in prison. And she started crying. She said, "Okay, I'll tell you everything, but please don't tell Mike. He'll kill us all." And I started laughing. I was laughing at myself because apparently the part I was playing, the persona, the talking tough and everything, the guy that she came out with, they had a conversation. He said, "This guy is really sketchy, so whatever, don't piss him off. Do everything, be nice, smile at him, talk nice and everything, because, you know, he's some kind of badass." And of course, I had no idea about those conversations or the fact that they were afraid of me until, you know, this agent called me up and gave me that information, and I was like, damn, you know, maybe I should go to Hollywood.
Yeah. So does anyone else have any questions out there before I bring up something from the audience that's watching? Stone Guy? Yes. Beard Almighty? Okay. We've got Pilot for Profit. He's watching us, and his comment is, abolish the ATF. What do you guys think about that? But what is it? Abolish? No, the BATFE.
Well, there's been talk about that. I mean, there was talk about having FBI absorb them, and as G. Gordon Liddy would say, if you take a glass of clean water and pour a little bit of dirty water into it, you still got a glass of dirty water. But something needs to be made. You know, they named B. Todd Jones as their permanent director after he was acting director, I think, for 2 years, with the promise he was going to get to the bottom of Fast and Furious and take care of it. There's not been one person that was fired because of Operation Fast and Furious or Operation Wide Receiver. They took Bill Newell, who was a special agent in charge in Phoenix, and they've put him in a Denver office. He's still working towards his pension. He still gets all his health care provisions, and still gets a paycheck every 2 weeks from ATF, and he's sitting in an office probably with a coloring book or looking at the internet all day.
That's the strange phenomenon, I think, that's been happening for the last, I don't know, 10 years. That it used to be when things like this went so badly wrong in the government, someone stepped up at least and was the sacrificial lamb, where you saw a bunch of people getting fired. But it seems like we don't have that anymore. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and you know, strangely enough, the only person that quit their job in this whole fiasco with Fast and Furious was Dennis Burke, who was the state attorney general. Now, prior to that, he had been the chief of staff for Janet Napolitano, who was the state of Arizona's governor. And he had an office right across from Bill Newell, who was the special agent in charge. And it's strangely enough, Dennis Burke was one of the original authors of the 1994 assault weapons ban. So someone mentioned Katie Pavlich's book earlier. It's strange, you know, you can call these coincidences, or you can just look at them as facts. But the fact that this guy was working hand in hand with Newell tells me a lot, and I don't see how anybody else could come to a conclusion that it had anything other than to do with a new assault weapons ban here in the United States.
Wow. Okay. Any questions out there, guys? Okay. I've got Mixflip, who's watching us live. That's my buddy Mixflip from out in Vegas. There, he's watching us, and he wants to know if is there any significance to that chromed out AK that you have in the background, Mike? What's up with that?
No, that's really not. It's just a trophy I thought would look good on the wall. The frames that you see under it is a story that was written by Paul Barrett, and that was in Business Week, and it was really the first person I talked to publicly about Operation Wide Receiver, and I think that was probably 2010 or through 2012. But it's just it's a Romanian washer that somebody took a great deal of time and very carefully plated with chrome, and it looks nice.
Yeah, looks really cool.
We sold a lot of, gosh, probably 300 washers to the people I dealt with over the years.
I can tell you, Mike. I won't tell you. I can tell you that my roommate's not ATF. I can promise you that. All right. But I can tell you that, like, when law enforcement, in a lot of cases, if they sell a product that's illegal, at that moment, they will arrest the individuals that they're selling the product to. Because, for example, if it's drugs, and you sell drugs to a person and then they take that out and they overdose on them, that looks terrible for that unit, that department. And and that's what you're dealing with here. Is you're dealing with an ATF official that's selling a product that they're not arresting at that moment for.
Right.
That's not a good way to do police work.
John Dotson, who was the ATF agent in Phoenix, who was the whistleblower on Fast and Furious, he said, in my 15-year career, we've never let somebody buy the guns and then walk away with them. You don't do that. You don't give somebody a lethal weapon, somebody that you know is a criminal or part of a criminal organization, and let them walk away. And after Brian Terry got shot, he was the first person that came out. Oddly enough, he spoke with the same reporter I did, Cheryl Atkinson from CBS News. And it's a shame what's happened to that guy. He's still an ATF agent. He's down here in Tucson now. But he sits in his office. When he walks into a room where other agents are having a conversation, they stop talking. He asks other agents, can I offer my help on this? Can I do this for you? No. He's politely told no. And so he's allowed to sit and do basically nothing. So he hasn't been fired. He hasn't been punished for anything. Yeah. But, his life's
2006, up until, I believe, Sandy Hook happened, the ATF didn't even have a director at the time.
Right, but Kenneth Melson was an acting director, not a full-time director. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he came from some other government agency, and I mean, he's an administrator. He had no expert knowledge on law enforcement or firearms or explosives. He was just a lifelong career.
Do you know anything about cigarette tobacco?
No idea, or liquor.
Let's just say he knew a lot about tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be there's a lot of liability that we're looking at here, because how many guns are we talking about, Mike? That in your particular case, how many?
My case was about 600, and the number that they report on Fast and Furious, I think they say 3,000, but I believe it's much higher.
I mean, someone has to feel some way about that. How do you feel about this? You are part of it. You were doing the right thing. You reported it. There's people in the ATF that approved all of this to happen, of course. But I'm sure these went across the border. Some of them might have come back and all that kind of stuff. There's probably a bunch of people that got hurt with this stuff. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a crappy thing, and the only The only thing that I could do, you know, when Brian Terry got killed, my first thought was, oh crap, you know, was that one of the guns that I sold those guys? And because the paper had alluded to it may have been involved in a ATF investigation, and later found out that it came from Lone Wolf up in Phoenix. And not that it would make Brian Terry any less dead, and not that it would make what I did any more right, but it was at that time, and when I saw ATF and DOJ officials come out and start saying that, you know, look, we never did what you guys are saying, we never let guns go across the border, I knew that I had to set the record straight and let people know that that they weren't telling the truth, and that they weren't doing anything more than trying to establish a cover-up for what they had done. When you have a cover-up, obviously you've been caught doing something wrong, and that was the position I was in. So, you know, I could have just sat quietly and not said anything, or I could let the world know what a bunch of fucking assholes these ATF guys and DOJ officials were, because it didn't stop at ATF. There was involvement by DOJ people fairly high up, and once we got into the Obama administration, we know that one of those contacts was actually in the White House. So when you have the Office of Inspector General do an investigation, and that guy who was in the White House and feeding information to the President and the Attorney General is suddenly in Baghdad, and he's not available to Skype, he's not available to talk on the telephone, and oh, if you fly into Baghdad, we're not going to let you meet with him. What does that tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't need a slide rule and abacus to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, that all sounds like bullshit anyways, because I could have gone to the Haji Market and bought him a fucking cell phone and a phone card for fucking $50, and he'd have been good to go. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, you know, modern
and a
technology.
carton of cigarettes.
Stop being sensible, Yak. Stop being sensible.
I was there. I could have done it. It would have been no big deal. They just needed to give me a call. They didn't realize.
Yeah. What would you like folks out there to take away as the moral of this story, Mike?
Well, the sad conclusion I came to is there's a big difference between love of country and a willingness to help. I mean, there's a big difference between the United States of America, where we live, and U.S. government. And what I was doing was trying to help the government because of my love for country. Right now, I have no love for government at all. I have no trust because of the way I was treated. I've seen the things that were covered up. I've seen their attempt to basically have me knocked off by exposing me as an informant. You don't do that. You don't expose an informant. You don't expose somebody that was working for you for a common cause unless you want to shut him up. And that's what happened to me. And just by the grace of God, I'm still here to tell my story. I don't believe for a minute there's not one of those 30 people that went to prison that wouldn't like to shoot me in the head or stick a knife in my neck. It just hasn't happened yet.
Why do you think that the government didn't come up with some way to throw you under the bus legally, you know, through some sort of, I mean, it just seems to me it'd be simple for them to find some flaw in a piece of paper or a document that, you know, you didn't fill this out correctly, this form, especially with the ATF and all the FFL and all of those things.
Well, no, they did. They did, absolutely. And get a copy of my book. If you don't want to buy it, go to the library.
I have it on my Kindle. Sure. I just haven't had a chance to read it.
Yeah, you know, they first thing they tried to do to discredit me was corrupt my computer files. The second thing they did was they sent out a ATF audit team and showed that I was missing 400 or some guns, which I could prove were still here. But they actually felt the need to give me a warning conference and threatened to take away my license, which at the time was my sole means of income. And they screwed up that audit just as badly as they screwed up Operation Wide Receiver.
And I think they were mad because you kept logs, right? Which is probably a really good thing that you did.
Yeah, my journal, I kept a daily journal, and the funny thing is when Office of Inspector General did their report, they went to the Tucson office and they said, okay, show us all your reports. And there were months and months at a time missing. Now, anybody that's worked for the government or even the military said, you can't go a day without writing a report about something, whether it's a shortage of toilet paper in the office or somebody needs new pens. You write something up, you make a record of it. Months and months at a time don't disappear by accident. So the Office of Inspector General actually used my daily journal to fill in the holes for all those missing reports. And you don't, a government inspector doesn't do that unless they find you to be credible, which they did.
Did you at any point ever get a lawyer?
Towards the end, when there was a lady that was an assistant U.S. attorney, I called her Beaver Tooth because she had these great big teeth. She told me, she came over one day, she had stacks and stacks of transcripts. I mean, like, big binder full of, and they were phone conversations and they were meetings with bad guys. And she wanted me to listen to the recordings on my computer and write the name of the person who is speaking whatever it is that's written down. So I started flipping through the books. And somebody had already done that, and then somebody had taken a magic marker and crossed out the name. And she said, well, we need you to do it so that when these cases go to trial, that you can say absolutely and with certainty that you know who those people were on the transcript talking at that time. I did about 2 or 3 pages, and it took me several hours. And my girlfriend came home from work, and she said, what the hell are you doing? And I explained it to her, and she said, are they paying you for this? And I said, no. And she says, shouldn't you be writing articles for the gun magazines like you normally do? How many do you have waiting? And I said, oh, probably about 8 or 9 articles. She said, are you out of your mind? These are the same people that exposed you, the same people that wanted you to die, and now you're doing another favor for them? So I called my lawyer, and great guy. He did my divorce. It cost me a Caspian 1911 slide and frame. That's all he charged me. And yeah. I actually had Caspian put a special serial number on there. It was Cunt Buster, and he seemed to enjoy that, though he said he couldn't show the gun to his wife. Anyway.
That's hilarious. That is awesome.
So I gave him a call, and I said, this chick, this AUSA, is wanting me to transcribe these transcripts, and can she make me do it? And he said, yes and no. He said, she could make you do it, but then in discovery she'd have to report that, and it wouldn't look good for her if she's making her star witness do something he doesn't want to do. So if you have my book, you'll see the nice email I sent her the next day, basically told her to screw off. And I copied every ATF agent that I'd ever come into contact with, including Bill Newell, the special agent in charge, and like 3 other assistant U.S. attorneys. And I said, I'm sick of you guys. I'm sick of being used. And you've been pushing me around, and now I'm going to start and push back. And it wasn't until I started to push back and speak out that they left me alone.
Okay.
So that's a lesson. If you're getting pushed into the corner by the government, push back. Fortunately, I had the journals. I had an external hard drive, so I was able to save those audio files and replace them. And I had all the information that would make them look very bad if I had to go public, which was the purpose of the book.
The minute someone from the government shows up, stop talking, except to your lawyer.
Exactly. I actually have a doormat out in front of my house that says, come back with a warning.
Yeah.
That's my welcome.
I've got the same one. I love it.
So let's go on to something fun, a little bit more fun than what we're talking about here. What do you got? Am I going to cut my hair? Are you?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Don't you guys think that'd be fun?
No.
No, that's kind of like his calling card. I kind of like Hank Strange. I wouldn't know what to think if he didn't have that mohawk.
Yeah, no one's gonna recognize me. I'm just gonna be, that guy.
Incognito. Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, also what I can do is put on a baseball cap, and then no one recognizes me.
Yep.
Not that anyone recognizes me now, but okay. Let's talk about NRA. So I'm gonna start with Stone Guy. Stone Guy, what are you looking forward to out there at NRA? Anything that's really tickles your fancy?
Well, actually, I want to get my hands on the 43. If nothing else, just for nostalgia. I have several 5 or 6 Glocks, and I'll probably end up buying it just for that reason. Just
So you're a fanboy.
yeah,
So am I.
and it's made in Georgia. That's some discrepancy. That's a whole other thing.
So you're kicking out like the 5. What is it? How much is it going to be?
Well, I'm not kicking out that much. Yeah, the MSRP on the thing was like $589 or $539, I think is what they said.
Yeah. So you're not going to kick out that much for it, you're saying?
No. Plus, I'll get blue box discount, but
right.
I'm interested to see some stuff from IWI. I know they've got some good things coming down the pipeline. And,
okay.
I don't know. Other than that, man, just look forward to to networking a little bit and meeting some people I just have the opportunity to meet at SHOT.
Okay.
And hang out with Hank Strange, of course. I mean, that's the only reason I'm going.
Yeah, we're gonna
the only reason I'm
going. Yeah.
Right. Your wife is going to be there, right?
Yeah, Lola will be there.
Okay.
My fingers crossed. She's going to be there. The funny thing is, believe it or not, Stone Guy actually does recognize me by my mohawk. This happened. I think we were both lost or something like that going to the Iraq veteran event that happened last year. Yep. And Stone Guy was behind me, and he starts flashing me and everything to pull over. I was like, what the hell is about to happen? Because I'm lost. And here's this guy, because I'd never seen him up until then, because he's all incognito. And he's like, Hank Strange. I'm like, what the hell? How does this guy? And he recognized me from the mohawk. So there you go. Am I lying, Stone Guy?
That's a true story. He was probably thinking, think about this. This Hank Strange is in the backwoods of Georgia, and some white man is flashing him at a high rate of speed trying to get him to pull over. I'm sure he
was like, why the hell are you pulling over?
Stone, if you're a big Glock guy, I saw a very rare Glock the other day at a very small gun show. Have you ever heard of the Glock 24?
24L? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is the first time I had ever seen one.
Yeah, it's just too long, man. The thing is, it's funny looking because it's so long. It just doesn't, it's not symmetrical.
It's like the 17L, but it's ported and it's got the cutout slider.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's a neat, that's a neat
I
gun.
thought about buying it, but they wanted too much for it, so.
Yeah, that's definitely a novelty gun.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's what the 43 is, kind of a novelty in a sense, because it's really the same size as the 26, but you get less capacity. So.
I wouldn't buy a 43. If I was getting a Glock for concealed carry, it'd be a 26.
Right. Well, I think it's supposed to be like a thinner profile, right? There are people. I know Lola doesn't like the profile of the 26. Because it's.
Yeah, it is going to be a little.
You mean the thickness of the 26?
Right.
Yeah, she doesn't like that.
I mean, I doubt it's going to be much thinner,
Yeah, I agree with you. I love the Glock 26, capacity-wise and all that. And then one of the things I think with the Glock 43, obviously because it's single stack, you don't have the ability to have those, needed capacity magazines in your bag or whatever that you can go to, unless someone comes up with some, extra single stack magazines that are going to work on that. So I'm a fan of the 26 because you can do that. I can have a 33 rounder in my bag. I can have my Glock 17 magazine, in my cargo pants or whatever. Whip that out and get more rounds. So you know. But everyone's been waiting for it since the Glock 42. I don't think they'll have any problem selling it. Yes. So
Yes.
you're not going to NRA now. Are there any guns you want us to check out while we're there? Or you have any cool guns you want to show us?
While you're there, you know, is Kel-Tec ever going to produce the actual new Sub 2000?
I tried.
Maybe you could ask Chad if they're going to actually
I thought they did make a new Sub 2000.
Yeah, I haven't seen not one. I think it's another damn unicorn gun from Kel-Tec.
Okay, so here's the thing. They are planning on, they've made some of them.
They released it?
Listen, I try to get Chad to come on so that he could talk about this because it's kind of like, a weird kind of situation. From what I see, they absolutely plan on releasing it, but it looks like they keep pushing the date up a little bit. And there are Sub 2000s out there, but not many at this point.
Yeah.
Is that
we know that.
So it is kind of like a unicorn, ghost gun kind of situation going on there with that. They're gonna be at NRA. I try to get Chad to get on, but he's jet lagged. He's like an international traveler, so he was off somewhere shooting or whatever. He'll probably watch this tomorrow, and then he'll see the questions. What's up, Chad? What's up, Kel-Tec? When are you gonna start producing?
How about the new RDB? Yeah, where's the RDB?
Oh,
I haven't seen no SKUs with my distributors either.
Where's there's no RDBs out yet. There's a few. What are we talking about? The CMRs, all that kind of stuff. Something's going on there. I can't speak for them, guys.
I thought you were the ambassador for Kel-Tec. I thought you were their official ambassador.
No. Yeah. My powers are limited there. I wish they would hurry up with it, but it's not. It's taking time. So
I'm gonna bounce, but I just wanted to say thank you to Mike for coming on and sharing with us. I've got your book on my Kindle, and it's about 4 or 5 down. Now it may move to number 1. I'm really excited about reading it. Thanks for coming on, Hank. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on.
Yes. Dude,
Great talking with you.
Totally come to the NRA. You would get to see me. I mean,
it's
what other
tempting, let me tell you.
You can stay at my house for free.
Beard one more time, I'm telling you, it'd be almost.
You can stay at my house for free.
What's that?
Well, Hank, you can stay at my house anytime you want. You can stay at my house for free, Yakaz. All you got to do is have a little gas money. All right,
let me talk to the boss.
Man would say, peace out.
Peace out, man. It's good having you. Yeah. So where were we here? Did you you had some kind of thing you were going to show us, Yakaz? You had like a pirate sword, pirate gun.
Okay. So I hadn't even told Hank about this prior. Not ever. And I've been saving this for a while to show you guys on one of these chat things or whatever. But it's an original 19 Charlotte Dogs. Calm down. She's excited about the pirate sword too. Hold on. But no, it's the original 1600s pirate sword that's been passed down generation to generation. Check this bad boy out. Look at that. Look at that thing. That is all sapphire handle right there.
That's a sapphire
really
handle.
Heavy. This is a really heavy sword. I don't think you.
It looks like blue duct tape.
No. That's all sapphire.
Is that sharpened? Is it sharpened right now? Can you do the paper
really
test?
Sharp. Really sharp.
Throw up a piece of paper and cut it.
Dude, hold on. I will.
Yeah. Yakaz is trying to get his April Fool on.
Watch this. Watch this. Gone.
Yeah.
It disintegrated. It was so sharp.
All I saw was a fan.
I just chopped my desk in half because of you by accident. You don't
Yeah,
even
right.
understand.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mike, anything obviously you're going to be out at the NRA with the new book, well, with the book in paperback. Any guns or anything like that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, people know me for the book, but maybe some people don't know I've been a gun writer for, gosh, going on 23 years now. And one of the first guns that I ever wrote about was a Kimber Classic. They came out with this gun, I think, in 1993. And I've got, gosh, probably over 30,000 rounds through this gun now. It's been back to the factory. Kimber's custom shop checkered it and put ambi safeties on it and did a meltdown on it for me. It's been a great gun over the years. Brought me a lot of enjoyment. I want to show you this. You may not have this book.
What is that?
If you have a Michael's Arts and Crafts store near you, you can go buy one of these books, and when you open it up, you can put a gun in there.
Yep.
Hide in plain sight. So I keep that on my desk. It's got a peacock on the front of it. So, I mean, you don't normally associate a 45 with a peacock. I've got
Who you are.
2 magazines and a Surefire flashlight in there with it. And I keep that handy. And then the other gun I wanted to show you is an AR-15 pistol.
Very nice.
This one I built on a DPMS lower receiver. It's a this one's actually a 10-inch barrel, 3-inch flash can on it. On this side, I've got a Insight Technology light laser.
Very cool.
And it's co-witnessed with my primary arms red dot sight, which are co-witnessed with my flip-up iron sights. SP-15 stock on it. It's a handy little shooter, I've built several of these guns now, and I've also got them with 7-inch barrels. They shoot like a house on fire. I'll guarantee you don't want to be downrange of one of these things. They're so much fun. If you haven't built one yet, or if you haven't shot one yet, get one and go out and shoot it. I know you've shot some AR-15 pistols. I've seen you on YouTube. I'm not sure if you've used the SP-15 stock yet. Keep in mind, ATF doesn't want you to put that against your shoulder. But unless you see a drone in the neighborhood, or you're shooting on a public range, you'll have to be your own judge about what you want to do about that. But I might want to throw that against my shoulder if somebody comes through the door without knocking.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few of those. I haven't had a chance to do one yet.
Mike, what rail is that, by the way?
That is actually a GunTech free float. It's key mod, and I want to say this one's 11 inches.
Okay.
$80 dealer price, I think, and it's a copy of the Midwest Industries.
Is that a Noveski brake on the end of it?
It's a copy of a Noveski brake. It's also a GunTech part, and I think I paid $39 for it. GunTech USA. They're out of Scottsdale. They used to have a bad rap for being Chinese imported stuff, but they're building these handguards are actually made in the United States now, up in Phoenix, and I've had good luck with their stuff lately.
Yeah, it looks good too.
Yeah.
What do you think that whole gun cost you to put together?
Oh gosh, a lot of them are parts I had left over when I closed my business. So some of the stuff I bought maybe 7 years ago. I think total price, my cost was maybe $800.
Okay.
This primary arms, the red dot is a copy of the Trijicon RMR. I got it at primaryarms.com for $119. It's held at 0. It's got a really well-defined 2-minute angle dot, and it came with the riser to, so you could co-witness the iron sights through it. So I felt like I got a good deal for $119.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. So now I'm gonna start to wrap everything up. And since Christian, he obviously was not able to come back since that lightning strike. Well, after this, I'll check on him, make sure he's still okay.
Welcome to the lightning capital of the world, Florida.
Yeah. what I want to talk about is I actually, for people who follow me on Instagram I am Hank Strange on there, and Green Force Tactical is also on there. Christian's the CEO of Green Force Tactical, and we're giving away this Green Force Tactical custom red carbon fiber holster outside the waistband. It's for a H&K VP9.
Wow.
And we're giving it away. And all you have to do is follow myself on Instagram and follow Green Force Tactical on Instagram, and then take a picture of your VP9 and tag us on Instagram. And I think on Friday we'll go there and we'll choose someone, and you will actually get this.
Wow.
So that's just some incentive out there for folks that follow us on Instagram. So just go there, search for Hank
This is
Strange.
free holster.
Yeah, very nice. And there's also some swag in there from Green Force Tactical and from Hank Strange. So, definitely go check that out. I want to thank everyone that came on. We had, Beard Almighty, had the real Stone Guy. I don't know. It looks like he dropped out. Make sure Stone Guy does a live hangout. I believe it's on Thursday. It follows my buddy Tack Daddy's show. So Tack Daddy has a live hangout on Thursday, I believe. So you guys check that out. And then afterwards, Stone Guy does his own hangout. You guys should check that out. Who else did we have on here? Oh, we had Christian from Green Force Tactical. Mr. Yak Yas from GTR. Mike Detty, of course.
Go to GTR Munitions.
Yes, GTR Munitions.
Munitions.
Okay, yeah, let's not forget GTR Munitions. You guys, awesomely provide the Hank Strange situation with factory reloaded ammo, 223, 45, 40 caliber, 9mm. We love that stuff.
Buy more beer.
Yeah, so Yak has more drunk. And of course, Mike Detty, Guns Across the Border, and then
Thanks,
the paperback's going to be Operation Wide Receiver, right?
That's correct. And if I could say something, if what you saw tonight or heard tonight is of interest to you, do me a favor, go to Facebook and friend me. And if you don't friend me, if you just want to find out more about Operation Wide Receiver, a lot of my interviews are posted on Guns Across the Border on Facebook. So go to that page, Guns Across the Border, and you can see my interviews with William Lajeunesse from Fox News and Cheryl Atkinson from CBS and quite a few others.
BBC just right?
Say again?
You just had an interview from the BBC, right, if I'm not mistaken?
That's right. They did an hour-long documentary on Fast and Furious, and they had spent 2 days out filming at my house, which was reduced to maybe 3 or 4 minutes of camera time. But I thought they did an excellent job. If you want to learn more about why Fast and Furious and why the feds felt like it was important to let guns go to Mexican cartel hands, give it a look. It'll keep you entertained for an hour.
Right, absolutely. And we'll come out to Tucson sometime and do a more in-depth follow-up with Mike, do all kinds of videos, get out there and shoot with you.
I'd love it.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. All right, and then I want to thank all the guys who are watching us live and asking questions and all that kind of stuff. And, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that awesome stuff. I will be at NRA walking around. Of course, I'm going to go check out Mike Detty. That's, at his book signing. I'll be all over the place. If you see me, the guy with the mohawk, say what's up to me. I'm Hank Strange. For everyone here on the panel, peace out.
Thanks, Hank. Night, yeah.
Thanks for having me, Hank. Good night.